What is going on, guys? Predator458 here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Armored Warfare, finally. I do want to start this video off with a status update and an apology. If you were not aware, I only uploaded a single video last week, which was on Wednesday. Normally, I try to upload 5 videos a week, Monday to Friday, but last week there was just the one. Reason being, on Sunday night, early hours of Monday morning is when I would normally start my upload for Monday's video, because my upload speed is quite slow, so it takes a good 4 or 5 hours to upload a single video. So I typically start the upload just before I go to bed. So anyways, early hours of Monday morning, started the upload, and the power went out. And unfortunately, normally it comes back, it'll either come back quite soon after, or maybe it'll come back sometime in the morning. But unfortunately, this time the power stayed out for over 30 hours. I think it was 33 hours in total. So our power only eventually came back at about 10:30 in the morning on Tuesday. So 33 odd hours without power. So no video for Monday, no video for Tuesday. Fine. Tuesday night, early hours of Wednesday morning, I upload Wednesday's video. That's all fine and dandy. And then we get a message saying that the power was going to be out again on Wednesday night from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock on Thursday morning, and this time it was for scheduled maintenance. So I don't do anything on Wednesday night because the power could go out at any moment. In the end, it didn't, even though our area was very much listed under this scheduled maintenance. But, every time I wanted to, I couldn't start something because maybe they were just running a bit late and it could go off at any minute. So I was just, I just held off, and in the end, it didn't go off at all. But, hindsight's a bitch. So then I was like, okay, well, no video for Thursday, but at least for Friday, I can do a video. And, obviously, patch 0.13 came out for Armored Warfare on Thursday, whatever the date was, the 25th, I think. I was like, that's not a problem. I'll be able to download the patch, play that on Thursday night, hopefully get a video for you guys for Friday. And then I spent few hours downloading the patch, because it's not only my upload speed that sucks, only to finish the patch, install the patch, and then do that thing that a few people had problems with, where it then decides it needs to validate the install, and it needs to download a 500 kilobyte file, but the download will not start. It did that to me. And something similar happened, I think it was patch 0.12 or 0.11, and I resolved that by telling it to delete the installation file, which was the size of the file that it was trying to download. And in this case, 0.5 meg. Did that, and the game determined that because I deleted this 0.5 meg file, I had to re-download the entire game. Thankfully for me, I had a backup from a month or two ago, so I used the backup, and I had to download 9 gigs, which still took, I think, 24 hours to do. So we finally got to play Armored Warfare on, I think, Friday night, and it worked. So today's video, after a long rambling intro about why there was so few videos last week, we're going to kick off this week with a look at 0.13, the new additions being obviously the Chinese main battle tanks, a Chinese Premium, and a new map. Now the Chinese Premium is obviously the Tier 5 WZ-1224, which we're looking at here. I'll go over the stats in-game. I will bring up the stats on screen, but just while we're here in the garage, these are the retrofits: Hull Reinforcement Mark III, Chrome Barrel Lining Mark III, and I decided to go for the magnetic actuator for a bit more damage again and to bring down the aim time. I might fiddle around with that. I was just playing and seeing what the different things, how they improve the tank. But as you can see, the 3 retrofits are all universal, so you can set this tank up pretty much exactly as you like. But then, apart from a match in the WZ-1224, we're also going to take a look at a match on the new map called Coastal Threat. But anyways, nearly 5 minutes of rambling. I think that's quite enough. Let's head straight into the gameplay, and we'll talk about the new tanks, the new maps, and that sort of thing, as well as all the other changes that came with 0.13. Right, so welcome to the new map. I decided to do the gameplay of the new map first, and then we'll look at the WZ-1224, simply because RDF, I mean, you guys have all seen videos of RDF, you know what it's like. I don't need to talk too much about this, and I can just talk a bit more about my thoughts on 0.13 so far, and then get that out of the way, talk a little bit about this new map, and then we'll go on to the new premium. But in this part of the video, I'll also talk give some thoughts about the Chinese main battle tanks as well. So anyways, we've come over to this little portion of the map, bottom left hand corner, and I'm going to kind of play as a rapid fire tank destroyer at the beginning, and things are going to go quite well. One thing straight off the bat, I have noticed this portion of the map is really favored. If you try to go onto the bridge on the other side of the river, where that ERC 90 F4 is, who we're going to start shooting at, it's far more difficult. They don't have nice cover like where I'm sitting here. They don't have something like that on the other side where they get a good field of view, good cover, and he gets ammo racked for 1300 damage. And we're going to put some shots into this enemy WZ-1224. But anyways, what about the Chinese main battle tanks? A lot of people were very worried that they were going to be, Soviet tank knockoffs, only not quite as good. And that might be the case early on. And in general, they have a lot of the same characteristics, even all the way up into the higher tiers. They have the good mobility, not quite the best armor, pretty decent guns. And in fact, the tier 7, I forget what it's called, but the tier 7 Chinese main battle tank actually has the best pen at the tier, if I'm not mistaken. I did check that, and I was surprised to find it out, but who knows, I may have misread. But doesn't have the best alpha, but it does have the best pen. And sat still a little bit too long there and took a heat shell from the Leopard 1A5, but we were also spotted, so we were having fun. I wasn't really playing this match to try and do anything special. I was just messing around, and this was actually, I think, the first time I played on it. I would have really liked to have shown you Coastal Threat while using a Chinese main battle tank, but that combination hasn't happened yet. But around tier 6 is when at least visually, the Chinese main battle tanks really start to look quite different from the Soviets, and it almost becomes a little hybrid between a Western tank design and a Soviet tank design. The hybrid there, getting more Western type turrets, but still a fairly Soviet, classic Soviet kind of hull design. But I've decided that I'm also going to hold off on reviewing them for the time being, for the simple fact, not only so that I can get a better idea of how to use them, but also so other players can get a better idea of how to deal with them. And I say this because I had a match in the tier 6 Chinese main battle tank, and there were tier 7s in this battle. I was going up against, there were some T80s, there was an M1, probably some challenges or something, but as I said, I was in the tier 6 one, tier 6 Chinese main battle tank, and I dominated the M1 Abrams and the T80. I was just penetrating them through the front of their turrets and in the turret ring and that, and I bounced a lot of shots from them. And if I were to base a review on that gameplay, I would talk about how awesome that tank is. And that might not be the case, because I don't think these guys really knew where to shoot me. And judging by some of the other games I've had, it's not really that good. That was quite a lucky game. And as I said, I think the people just need to learn how to go against them as well. So I'm going to hold off with doing reviews on them for the time being. I think I do have some pretty decent gameplay so far in some of them, and I might just do some videos with the gameplay, but not an actual review. And here the accuracy of the RDF was hurting me a little bit, and actually I think since this game I have swapped out one of my retrofits just to bring the accuracy down a little bit more, because so far for me, I don't know if you guys agree, but I tend to find that playing a light tank as a sort of tank destroyer early on in the game kind of works for me. Just like you know, towards the end of a match, I'll play a tank destroyer as a light tank, you know, kind of the opposite here, you know, kind of just swapping roles depending on what portion of the match we are in. But anyways, other changes that came with 0.13, obviously we had version, what they're calling version 2 of the matchmaker. You know, this was the main reason why the patch got delayed such a long time, because it was doing some really weird things on the Russian server. Things like 15 artillery versus 15 artillery and that sort of thing. So far, yeah, it hasn't done everything it promised. You know, I have seen some occasions where, you know, one team will have a tier 8 artillery and the other team will have, sorry, the one team will have a tier 8 and a tier 6, the other team will have 2 6s, or, you know, sometimes there's not quite equal numbers of top tier tanks. One of the things they did stress that they were going to do was if you were in a platoon with, say, 3 tier 8 main battle tanks, you would not be put into a battle unless there were 3 tier 8 main battle tanks for the enemy team. And largely this has been improved a significant amount, but there are still occasions where one team will have more top tier vehicles than the other, but it is significantly improved over what it used to be. Only remaining vehicle right now is a Geforce, so we're switching over to Heat, and we're going to find him, we're going to get the first shot in, and the game is going to steal steal the kill from me, you'll see. But when the patch went live, after you know, just after it went live, for Thursday night, it seemed like on the EU server there were a lot of people who were getting into like 7v7 games and that sort of thing. Shot in 282, shot in 1 hit point remaining. Fuck you, game. But at least early on there were a lot of people getting 7v7s and that sort of thing. That largely seems to have sorted itself out, and we're back to 15 versus 15 the whole time is all I've seen. The matchmaker does seem to be a little bit slower. You do tend to wait a little bit longer to get into a queue, even if like you're waiting at tier 6 and there's 40 people waiting in the queue. You do still seem to wait a little bit longer, but you know, so far so good. It's not as bad as the forum makes it out to be, but you know, it's, you know, what, you know, it's doing the job, but you know, at least some quicker matches, I think, to bring it back to the same sort of speeds that it used to do would be welcome. But anyways, that about concludes this talk, this overall talk about my thoughts so far on 0.13. Let's head off to the WZ-1224 match. But as you can see, Nelly, I mean, it was a pretty good RDF game. Gold medal and nearly 5k damage done. But anyway, so let's head off to the WZ-1124 gameplay, and we'll see how we get on in the new Chinese Premium Tier 5 main battle tank. Alright, so 20 seconds or so until the match begins. So one other thing I actually did forget to mention in the first gameplay video was the economy changes, especially for PvE. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. Has it really helped the credit grind in PvE? I've seen a lot of people on the forum say it hasn't. I don't spend most of my time playing PvE. I play it from time to time. But in the few matches that I did play, it did seem to be a little bit better. Not, you know, a huge amount better. But, you know, it was at least an improvement. So, as for the WZ-1124, what do I think about it? Well, I have to say it's not a bad little tank. It's, yeah, a lot of people again have been saying it's overpowered. I suppose it kind of depends what kind of match you get into. If it's a match like this where, you know, you're one of 3 tier 5s, there's 2 on my team, 1 on the enemy team, and the rest are tier 4s, then yeah, it might be a little bit overpowered. In a complete tier 5 game, a little bit less so. And once again, you know, people still need to learn where to shoot this tank and where its weak spots are and that sort of thing. Got enemy Chinese tank. What is that? The Type 69-2 tier 4. not a bad tank that actually I've had pretty good fun in. It's got some decent armor, fairly good gun, and we're just moving out. This was one of my earlier battles in the WZ-1224. I wasn't quite sure how its armor would handle stand up and that sort of thing. And unfortunately, been a little bit unlucky here. Both shots went into this guy's track, but there we managed to land a fairly good hit. But anyways, as for some of the stats of the vehicle, 300 millimeters of penetration, 363 average damage, 7.45 reload, 1800 hit points, hull armor 280, 70 on the sides, 56 on the rear, steel composition, so just a 1.0 modifier. On the turret, 250 on the front, 200 on the side, 75 on the rear, and that's welded plate steel, so it's a 1.7 modifier against AP and HE, and a 1.2 against heat. So yeah, if you want to shoot this thing's turret, use heat. You might stand a better chance of going through. Max speed 64.8, and you can see T64 puts a shot into us. I'm not sure entirely where that penetrated us. Camouflage is 0.1, view range 385. Gun depression is where it gets quite interesting. It's -3 on the front, -2 on the rear. So brawling like I am now with this T64, you actually have to be a little bit careful, because you might, if you get too close, you might not actually have the gun depression to go for his lower plate. Turret reverse 30.78 degrees, accuracy 0.08, and aim time of 2.52. So as for the armor on this thing, is it really good from the front? It is very good from the front. If you need to penetrate one of these things, and here I'm going to go up against the enemy, WZ-1125, and you're going to see I'm not entirely sure. I think this is the first time I faced one of these in my own WZ-1124. And there's a Type 69 too. He puts a shot in, unfortunately, and does some damage. We're going to pop out, aim in, and he turns, gives us a side. Not sure what he was doing. But as you can see there, to penetrate the lower front plates, it's a lot like the MBT 70. You want to go for the very, very bottom of the lower front plate with a gun with similar pen to 300 millimeters. Otherwise, some of the other tier 5 main battle tanks, they can actually penetrate you through the sort of upper portions of your upper front plate. They don't even need to go for your lower front plate. And here, I don't know what this guy's doing. He's suddenly backing off. There's no one to his side, really. There's some guys on the other side of these buildings, but I don't know what he was doing. He lets me put 2 shots into his side. I did wonder if maybe he was trying to get me to chase him and sort of pull me into a trap. Yeah, maybe. He did get a shot into my side there. I'm down to 444. And you can see now I find that green point on his lower front plate. Perhaps kept myself too angled there. And now, I mean, we're pretty much... Now, we're both one-shot killed now. Both less than 100 hit points. And we bounce, or we take a Sheridan HE shell from the side. But things have gone well for our team. And there's the Sheridan. There's a Sheridan aiming in, take the shot. Unfortunately, someone hits him just before our shell finds its mark. And here, I think I'm going to go that way. I was thinking I'll let the T64 go first. But maybe this guy's going to come in from behind, and that's exactly what he did. 61 damage to finish him off. But I mean, we had taken all of his hit points off anyway, so we did deserve that kill. And here, unfortunately, this T64 is now sort of a bit of a pain in the arse. You know, there's this guy, we don't have line of sight on him. You know, why are we just sitting here waiting for him to magically appear? Let's, go get him. But anyways, mobility's good, view range, and then that 385 is with Philip, who gives you the +40, same as Sabrina would do if you ran Sabrina in this vehicle for whatever reason. And there we go, there's the win, and 4 kills, not too bad. So as you can see, we earned ourselves 7,847 reputation, 260,300 credits, just under 3,000 damage, 1,400 spotting damage, 4 kills, Master Gunner, and the gold medal. Showing off a lot of matches where I get the gold medal. You guys mustn't get too used to it. But anyways, as you can see, This was also the match that I got to level 2 crew skills with the WZ-1224. So that 0.08 accuracy was not what I had in this game. That obviously came once I had chosen some skills for my gunner. And as we said, first place on the team by reputation, about 140 points ahead of second place, who was in the other WZ-1224. He did a little bit more damage than us. Single penetrating hit more would have, put me in front of him. So well played to both of us. But anyways, that is it for this video and my first look and impressions on the 0.13 update, as well as the Chinese main battle tank line, all the changes that came with 0.13, and a more detailed look at the WZ-1224, the new premium tier 5 Chinese main battle tank. If you have any thoughts or comments on the new patch, the new tanks, anything like that, I'd love to hear them. Leave them in the comments down below. But that is about it for this video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below and consider subscribing for more Armored Warfare, World of Warships, and a few other things that are thrown into the mix from time to time. But as I said, that is it from me. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is Predator 458 signing off, and I will see you guys next time.